Hello, everyone, and welcome back to the blog. It's Alicia and Richard A. Myers here. Richard, how are you?
I'm well, and yourself?
Great, thank you. So in today's video, you are going to be telling us about the Medicaid 5-year look back, and you also have your whiteboard you're going to use to kind of help us understand a little bit better. So I'd like to go ahead and turn it over to you to walk us through that.
Well, thank you, Alicia. What's kind of interesting was we were working with a team over at Verdium about topics, and I was working with Andy over at Verdium. I said, what's a question you would have about Medicaid? He goes, you know what always confuses me is this thing they call the 5-year look back period. I said, well, by gosh, there's a topic for us, Andy. So as we were working through that, so we wanted to explain what people hear about is this 5-year look back. So one of the things is we hear quite a bit is it's not 7 years. So we hear this over and over again from people. They say, hey, I heard it went from 5 to 7, and there's been no such law change, at least in the state of Ohio. But to the best of my knowledge, that is federal limit is still at 5 years. The other thing we want people to understand is people think, well, it's a 5-year forbearance, but I'm not allowed to give away any assets or any of my resources within 5 years, and it's not. The 5-year look back is simply a 5-year audit of your assets and what has been given away. So if something has been given away, we do tell people that we're going to have to disclose it. There's no hiding. Medicaid has computers, and they tie in with the Internal Revenue Service. So if there were assets that reported any income, they're going to know about it, and they are going to go back and they're going to audit. They're going to watch for those those drops in the 5-year period. But that's okay. We just have to work through whatever those numbers may be. So when does it start? Well, the 5 years starts at application. So it's the date you submit your application. They will then go back for 60 months and they will ask for anything that's been given away, any gifts, what we would call improper transfers is the term they use at Medicaid, and they come through. But so a lot of times you have someone who's given away, or a lot of times we're even given away very close to that application date when that person has $2,000. So now we go back to that example we've often used. What happens when I give away that $100,000 and I've done it right before application? Well, Medicaid's going to come back and say, well, again, we have that 15-month waiting period from that point because that transfer occurred within that time period. And they add them all up. So if we had a couple back in here, they're going to add them all up to this. And when they do that calculation of 15 months, it adds from that point of application. So when that point of, actually the point of eligibility. So that's why it's important to do these and make sure that there is eligibility, because that's what starts the clock. But again, as we've told our viewers in those other videos, is there's still a way on this money to be able to protect about 50% of it. So if we, in the case where I would have given away $100,000, I probably had put another $100,000 into that quality of life account to be held and to meet the supplemental needs of that person in the nursing home, or assisted living, or even home care. So where do we use that money? Very frequently, we'll use that money in that quality of life account on that ongoing basis. Is to, if the person wants to go from a semi-private to a private room, if they want to get good dental work or higher quality dental work, glasses, hearing aids, whatever that may be, whatever that quality of life issue, sometimes it's just as simple as to make sure they get their hair done a couple of times a month over at the nursing home. Because Medicaid gives the person about $50 a month out of their income. That's all you'll have to cover all of your non-medical needs. So it becomes critically important to understand that all is not lost if we haven't planned 5 years out. What we would call crisis planning is when we're right there at the door of the nursing home. There's still plenty of opportunities to shelter assets to meet all the quality of life needs of that person that's going into the nursing home. So I thank Andy for his question, and Alicia, I know we've talked about this, but we want people to know that it's not a 5-year forbearance, it's just a 5-year audit of assets that have been given away and disclosure. So it's not the end of the world. We can still do plenty of things to do even within that 5-year period. So another way, we just try to guide families through preservation of their assets to protect them when that loved one has those higher care needs.
Wonderful. Well, yeah, thank you so much for answering that question. I think that if Andy was asking that question, I'm sure that there's a lot of people out there that are asking themselves as well. So this video was perfect for that. If you're interested in working with Richard and his team, make sure you're getting in contact with them, giving them a call, or visiting online at rmohiolaw.com. And if you have any questions similar to this that you would like us to address on these videos, reach out to Richard and his team. We're going to be able to get those on there for you, and we're looking forward to that. So thank you so much for watching, and thanks again, Richard.
You're very welcome. And just as a reminder to all of our listeners, I always welcome public appearances and that challenge of on the fly question answer period. So always good.
All right. Thank you so much, Richard.